Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Now you've asked me for the video, and you've probably seen my first field test of the Phantom 3 Professional, and you may have seen my second and my third and several other follow-up tests. But what I want to do within this video, now that I've become more familiar with the Phantom 3, is to share with you my pre-flight procedures. So not just how to get it out of the case, but how to calibrate, especially if you've gone to a new geographical location and all of that. So this is the waterproof and ruggedized case. You can find it, the Phantom 3, the ND filter, and all of the accessories on 400orbelow.com. So check the link within this video's description, and it's 400orbelow.com. But waterproof, ruggedized case, prop guards in here. It's all easy to get to. It's the way that I prefer to travel with the Phantom because it's easy in and easy out. So obviously the first thing I'll do is I'll take my gimbal protector out. You know, when you're in transport, you want to keep this piece in, so don't throw this away. When you do get a Phantom 3, don't throw this away because this will better protect your camera and its gimbal while it's in transport. Something else that I recommend, and you can see here I've got the lens filter on it. This is an ND filter, a neutral density filter, and not only does it help to improve the visual quality of the video, rolling shutter, prop motion, etc. You know, sometimes when you pan up and you may catch a little bit of your props in the frame, when especially when you're flying forward and very fast, you can potentially do that, and this will help with that. Just makes the video look a lot better in my opinion. See for yourself. This video I will be flying with the ND filter attached. Also acts as a great bug guard should it make impact with a bug while flying through the sky. Lessen the probability of damaging the camera, which is always a good thing in my opinion. And this is the ND filter by RageCams. Again, you can find it 400orbelow.com. Check the link within this video's description. So we're going to go through step by step. So if you're not looking for a step-by-step tutorial video, I encourage you to watch something else because I'm going to go through exhaustively step by step. So the intent of this video is to provide you with an in-field experience. Maybe you're on the fence, you don't know if you want a Phantom 3 yet, or maybe you've got one and you want to see how I do it after having flown it for a few times. And again, this is not a substitute for your owner's manual. Check your owner's manual first, but I'm just providing this for entertainment value, and you may find some educational value in it, I'm not sure. So we're gonna pull the stuff out of the case. As you can see, I've got room in the case for the quick disconnect prop guards. I highly encourage you to get quick disconnect prop guards because they do better protect, especially if it topples over during landing. Something else is the little piece here. I'm an iOS user. I'm using iPhone 6 Plus. Obviously, you can use Android as well. I've got a great Android tablet on 400 or below if you're looking for that, if you're looking for a bigger screen. But this right here, I'm going to use my iPhone 6 Plus, just short, and I don't have all of that wrapping I've got to do around the controller. I'm going to put my gimbal protector back in the case because I don't need it right now. I'm going to pull out my sack, and that was something I really appreciated DJI did with Phantom 3. They included a sack for the propellers, and I'm about to show you in a moment why that's so important to me. I like this case because if I am on mud or sand or wet ground like I am now, I can just have a dry area to set up shop and put this down and all of my gear on top of the case. The first thing I usually do is put on my quick disconnect prop guards. As you'll be able to see here how easy on and off they are. And these come in a variety of colors, but I got the red and the black. And I put the black on the front being where the camera's facing, because what that enables me to do, it acts, and obviously I always fly visually to be safe and at a responsible and safe altitude. But this, since I am flying visually, it enables me to see visually which direction the camera's facing because I've got black on the front. And see, these little pieces, they remain attached to your Phantom. And what's cool about that is that most prop guards, you know, they stay attached, so they won't fit in a case. And if they do, that case is so large that it's not convenient for travel. That's what makes these so good. And they just pop on without tools. I mean, obviously, once you've got the prop guard mount on there, then they pop on without tools, see? It's effortless. And they're really high build quality. I've I've actually landed this a few times where it fell forwards, and you can check out that video, why I always use prop guards. You'll see I landed on uneven terrain and it toppled over. Something I was going to talk about with this prop sack that's so nice is that the Phantom does come with 2 pairs of props. So that's 8 total, so you've got a replacement for each one. The new ones, as you can see here, they've still got shrink wrap on them. So what I did, I left the shrink wrap on the ones that I haven't used, and then that way when I pull them out of my bag, like see this one doesn't have shrink wrap, so I know I'll fly with it. This one doesn't. It's just an easy way to differentiate between a prop that has been used and a prop that has not been used. Because obviously I don't want to use my new props until I potentially break or whatever happens to one of the originals. And so far I'm still in the original set, and I owe that, I contribute that to the fact that number one, I know what I'm doing, and number two, I put the prop guards, the quick disconnect prop guards on first thing before I even flew. So we're gonna put our props on. Something you will notice, and if you're new to Phantom, that's all right, that's why I'm posting this video. This has a black nipple in the middle, and this has a silver nipple in the middle. And when you look at your Phantom, you're gonna see that, and this may have been confusing at first, but see that's painted black, and then this side is painted black. This side is not painted, it's just silver, and that's silver. So that's how you know what goes where. So the black goes on the black, the silver goes on the silver. How simple is that? And actually it wasn't that simple the first time I got my, I think it was my Phantom 1, where I was a little bit confused. I don't remember if Phantom 1 had the colors or not. I know Phantom 2 did, but it just makes it a lot easier. And then likewise, when you look at these props, and you'll notice with the black and the silver, they're different. They'll show you a little indicator. It's a little lock. So if this one twists this way in the direction of the indicator arrow, it'll lock the prop guard. If you twist this way, it'll unlock it. So when you take it off, obviously you're going to twist in the unlock direction. So look at that little diagram on the propeller when you're taking them off. And to put them on, and I'm going to bring this up closer here so you can see. And this is just how I do it. Again, this is not a substitute for an owner's manual. But when I put them on, I just gently spin, because these are self-tightening props. And after I gently spin, I gently check with my fingers to make sure it's not loose. Because it's gonna, from my experience, I found they tighten up. I've never had a prop fly off doing it this way. Let's put it that way. Okay, so now we've got everything on here. Obviously, a few checks you would have wanted to have made before you hit the field. Make sure your battery in your Phantom 3 is charged, and then also the battery in your Phantom 3 controller. And you want to make sure that before you headed to the field that you have the current firmware installed on your Phantom 3 as well as the Phantom 3 controller, and the current version of the DJI Pilot app on your device that you're using for flying. In my case, I'm using iPhone 6 Plus. But again, you could use a myriad of other devices that are compatible. So I'm current with all of that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the, in my case, iPhone 6 Plus to the included little holder. See how nice that is? It folds down for travel, and then it pops up for use. And these little tabs right here are for smaller devices, such as my iPhone 6 Plus. So I can just slide it in, and see this just kind of lets it up. So I just slide it in, making sure I'm not putting my volume buttons or any of that in the way. And then I just gently press down. Now see, you can see it's latched on there now. Very brilliant design, very soft and padded, does a great job of ergonomically holding the iPhone 6 Plus or whatever device you're using. And like I said, you can put a big tablet on here. Check the link in this video's description on 400 or below, and you'll find a tablet it's a large Android tablet where you can get a really bigger screen. And that's one of the luxuries of the Phantom 3, is having that beautiful 720p HD display for first-person view. I mean, that's not what you're recording in. On the professional, you're recording in 4K Ultra HD if you choose to do so. That's what I'm using. So you just plug this into your controller. Unlike the previous generation Phantom 2 Vision Plus, this depends upon a physical connection with that cable. So it's not using Wi-Fi like your Phantom 2 Vision Plus did. Once we've got all of this here, something I usually do is put my prop bag back in. so I don't risk forgetting it or having it blow away while I'm flying, or just simply trip over it. I don't want to trip over my props while I'm flying, so I'll put it back in my bag, in my waterproof and ruggedized case rather. And what we're going to do now is the next step. So I like to start out with the camera facing away just so I can see the battery. We're going to turn on my controller first. And you'll notice, and it's pretty bright out here, but you'll notice these lights come on indicating controller's turning on. The next thing you'll want to do is check your tablet or your smartphone, whatever you're using, and launch your DJI Pilot app. And again, it's important to ensure that you updated it, because if you did not update your app and your firmware, it's probably not going to communicate. So now we're just going to simply, in the app, we're going to turn on the Phantom next. So turn on your Phantom. And we're going to go through the whole process. We're actually going to calibrate. So if you've never flown your Phantom before, maybe you've updated your firmware, maybe you've changed geographical flying locations, we're gonna go through the whole calibration. So to start the calibration, the next step we would do is we hit camera, and then there's an option. It says it's going to be, and I don't know how well you can see it in this video because it's sunny, but it says compass and it says calibrate. So it's the third one down when you first turn your Phantom on and you're in the app and it's paired. So you hit calibrate, and now what it's going to do, please start. Press start to begin compass calibration. Actually, it says okay, but that's what it means by start. And it's going to walk you through this. So read your screen and do exactly what this says. But see, this is how you do it. You go this way, and then the next thing is facing the nose down. So the camera's facing down. You're going to go this way. And then that message will go away, indicating that you're calibrated. So what you're going to want to do now is wait, and at the top of the app, it's going to say "safe to fly." It's going to say that if it feels that it's safe to fly. So before you take off, and again, always be sure you've thoroughly read and understand your owner's manual first. But before you take off, what you want to do, especially if you're recording, what I'm going to do is go into camera, so the top right button, and you can check out my other tutorials on 400orbelow.com where I go through these individual settings in a location where you can see what I'm pressing. But what I'm doing now is going in and formatting the memory card because I've downloaded everything I needed before heading out to the field. So I'm going to format the memory card. This ensures that today while I'm flying, even when I'm flying multiple batteries, that I have a sufficient amount of space on the memory card to record video, especially when you're doing 4K. 4K 30 is going to consume a considerable amount more memory card space, but with a 64 gig micro SD card that I use, and again, check the link within this video's description, it's on 400orbelow.com. I can get, as you can see right now, with nothing on the card, freshly formatted, 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 57 seconds at 4K 30. So it's really cool. So the next thing I'm going to do before I take off, and again, this video is geared towards beginners. I want to make sure that everything is thorough, step by step, what I do to just really, because it's easy to get out there and forget something, or be in a rush, or be so excited that you want to fly that you forget these steps. So the next thing I want to do is check and make sure that my see what mode this is in. So what I'm going to do, there's a little icon, and again, check out my other videos in 400 below where you can see the app view closer up. But towards the top left, there's a thing that says, in my case, P, and that brings up another point. You're going to want to make sure this is in P. At a high level, what P is, it means it uses GPS, which is Global Positioning System, your traditional, GPS satellites. It also uses GLONASS, which GLONASS, they're Russian satellites, and it also uses the ground sensors that you have on the Phantom 3 that you did not have on the Phantom 2 Vision Plus. So just the absolute most precise degree of flight that you can get out of this. So with that set, then up here, if that's set to P, you should see PGPS on the mode. Where it says PGPS, click that part of your screen, and that's going to take you into an abundance of settings. Now what you can do when you're on the topmost setting, it looks like a little quadcopter with prop guards. It's got four 4 little, it just looks like a thing with prop guard. So if you're on that screen, what you're going to want to do is hit advanced settings. And when you're on the advanced settings, you'll see fail-safe mode. And then there's also an option that says RC signal lost. This is super important. RC signal lost, if it is not set to return to home, then you could potentially encounter a catastrophic issue if it was far away. I mean, obviously you always want to fly visually and you know, safe altitude and be super safe with it. But if this was not set to return to home, potentially what could happen if it was in landing mode, if it lost RC signal, it would just start to go down. So say for example, you're out in a small and safe field like I am, and say there's a little puddle of water or a swimming pool, and it's just a tiny little pool in that field. If this was set to landing, if it lost RC signal, there's a good chance that it may just start to descend and go in that pool. And that brings up my next point. It's important to know, read your owner's manual. Read your owner's manual and know how to regain manual control should you lose signal. Because if it triggers this return home operation, maybe you want to regain manual control when it's back close so you can manually land it. You know, read your owner's manual, but you're able to push this button, and then there's also an option on the screen where you can regain manual control. What I recommend doing the first time you're flying is actually just taking it a few feet away, getting comfortable with it, and we're going to go through all of this, but have it to where you can safely perform those return home functions and know how to manually override should you need to. So let's go ahead and let's start this thing up. There's a few ways to do it. In the app itself, towards the top left, there's an up arrow. What that'll do is cause the Phantom to go up to an altitude of about 4 feet, and it'll just stay stationary until until you're ready to pilot it. So that's actually what we're going to do. The other option would be to take both sticks and push them down towards the middle like that, the manual way. That's the way you're probably accustomed to if you used a Phantom 2 or a Phantom 2 Vision Plus. But let's do the in-app takeoff here. So I'm going to start my camera recording because I do want to record this video in 4K Ultra HD. So I'm starting the camera right now by pushing the record button. Alternatively, there is a physical video record button right there, and there's also a shutter button over here if you wanted to do still photos. But let's go ahead and hit the takeoff button, which is right here. Very friendly and safety conscious app. It says, do you want to take off? Ensure that conditions are safe for takeoff. The aircraft will go to an altitude of 4 feet and hover in place. Slide to take off. So it's going to take off now. And you can see how precise that flight is. And it is indeed hovering right around, actually it's right around 3 feet. It's at around 4 feet. There's a considerable amount of wind right now. You can see how it's doing a really good job of compensating for that using the GLONASS and the GPS, and then also the ground sensors that are on the bottom. So basically there's a few things we can do here. One of the things you may want to play with before you even start taking off is this knob right here, your gimbal control knob. And if you want to speed it up or slow it down, if you're doing more cinematic stuff, check my tutorial on that on 400 or below. But see, I can tilt the camera down if I want to go down, and you'll see the camera, it's actually moving under the Phantom 3 right now. Very slow because I slowed it down to be optimal for filming video. Now we can take it back up by just going back up, and you'll see the camera on the Phantom 3 starting to go back upright. You can customize your controls on your controller, but I'm just using default settings. So if I want to go up, I'll push this stick up. If I want to go forward and up, I can do them both at the same time, as you can see there. If I want to bring it back down, I push this stick down. And then if I kind of want to come back towards me, I can push this stick down. So the best way to think about it with the default settings is that this stick on the right, if you push forward, it's going to go forward. This stick on the right, if you push it backwards, it's going to come back towards you. And if you want to go sideways to the right, you push it to the right. If you want to go sideways to the left, you push it to the left. And then once you get more comfortable with this, that's when you can kind of mix it up. So say I want to go up and backwards, I can mix them too, you know, both together, like so. And then if I want to, you know, bring it forward, and I can bring it forward while going down at the same time. See, watch this. I'm gonna get it back over here in this frame. So I can bring it backwards while descending at the same time, see? And I can bring it backwards and go up. So it's like any other thing. Once you get used to it, it's kind of like a video game, but obviously learn in a responsible location. The purpose of this video is not necessarily to capture outstanding aerial footage. I may get some of that at the tail end of this tutorial if I have enough battery life. But what I want to do now is trigger a return home scenario. So what we're going to do, since as I mentioned earlier, I had it set for home point. My home point I can see on my map, and obviously you want to make sure that is an accurate representation of where home should be, because that's where it's going to attempt to return to. So what we're going to do now, we're going to assume we encountered a situation we need to return home. There's two ways to do it. There's a return home in the app towards the left, and there's a return home physical button. Let's do the physical button. So it'll say return home initiated. Now this may start to ascend before it returns home. And what's interesting there is that it landed. When I said return home, it landed instead of return home like I had set in the app. So that's actually that was actually not the behavior that I expected, according to what was said in the app. So what I'm going to do is toggle it from landing to return home within the app, and we're going to take off and we're going to try this again. We're going to take it out over this field here, and we're going to do a return home here. So this time I'm going to do return home again, just like I did. And it's landing. But you notice what I did, I pushed that button again to abort the landing. So there is a possibility, and again, that's the main reason I'm posting this video, there is a possibility that your return home may not behave exactly as expected. Now that was saying if remote control signal was lost, that it would return home. And actually what I did on that, I just hit the home button. So maybe since it didn't actually lose control with the remote, maybe that's what was causing it to do that. If it had gotten out of range, which I'm not going to do because I fly visually, this thing has about a 1.2 mile range from what I've heard. But since I'm not going to get out of range, I'm not going to lose control. But what we may do here in a second to simulate that scenario is turn the controller off to see if it'll return home. So these things are a lot of fun, but again, and you know, a lot of people may laugh at the stutters that I have with this, because I'm being very cautious, and I'm cautious for a reason. Because number one, this is a fun hobby, but it's something that a lot of irresponsible people have gotten in their hands, and they're really putting a bad image throughout the media when it comes to aerial vehicles. So it's definitely important. I mean, even if you don't see the big picture, it's definitely important to be aware of what you're doing, the tool you're using, and to always be responsible. And when you're around others with this, or even by yourself, act as responsibly as you can to promote drones in a positive way. And just things like the prop guards, the quick disconnect prop guards, etc. And that's just stuff that signals responsibility, in my opinion. So what we're gonna do now, since it is, I'm gonna bring it over here right in front of us, because I'm gonna turn the controller off. Well, I'm gonna save that test for another video because it should work, but I don't want to lose this thing today because I've got a big event coming up. A big activity that I'm performing to have fun that I'm going to film, and I don't want to potentially lose my drone. I mean, everything should work as expected, but I don't want to get too brave yet, you know. I'm gonna do some. One of the cool things to do is like get trees and stuff and get low down over them and get that cool camera angle, you know. And another thing as you become more proficient with this is to learn how to ascend and descend while simultaneously tilting your gimbal control, because it makes those really cool. If you watch the big TV networks where they go in over trees and like construction equipment and stuff, you can get some really cool shots by doing that. So kind of fly around here. Yeah, the thing about the Phantom 3 that's just such a step forward is being able to see everything. And it's not, when you were dealing with your Phantom 2 Vision Plus, you had a somewhat good display. You could see what was going on, but it wasn't HD. This is high definition, so you're able to see in 720p HD what the drone sees while it's flying, and that's just a really cool. What's the word for it? That's just a really cool feature to be able to see that. And it's obviously not something that you would want to use to fly without being able to see the drone, but it's something that you would use to ensure that, especially if you're shooting photos, still photos, or filming continuous 4K or 1080p video like I am, being able to see what's in the frame. You know, being able to see what the camera sees so you can know if your shots are lined up right. That's why I fly these things. I like to have fun and create funny videos. And but yeah, this and some things as you get more advanced, like an ND filter, neutral density filter, like I have on this one, and I'm flashing up as we go. I'm flashing up some shots here. You can just really see how silky that makes everything look. And something else you can do, if you want to see the full screen and not just see your controls in your app, you can swipe your finger up, and I'd like to thank some viewers for that. They shared that tidbit with me, and then that way you can see everything, especially if you're using the quick disconnect prop guards like I am. You can tell if those are in the frame or if the propeller spinning are in the frame. So it's just a good way to to just improve the assurance that you're filming what you want to have in the frame. And sometimes when you're filming videos flying slower and just doing a slow gimbal tilt while you're going forward or backwards, and actually that's another trick, if you're flying backwards, it's almost impossible to get your props in the camera view. So if you want to get some really cool shots without any possibility of props or prop guards, try flying backwards, because that's just really cool. I'm flying forward right now, but I'm gonna flip it around here in a second. Something else that you'll want to check is your battery level, and you can monitor that in the app, but obviously you don't want to, out of good practice, I usually bring it back at about 30%, just so, well, I've got an alarm set for 30%. You can check out 400 or below.com, my tutorials there, and I'll show you where you can specify that. I do 30% to be safe. I mean, that's one thing about this Phantom 3 is that the battery life is so incredible. Especially if most of your if you use it for what I use it for, and that's filming entertaining videos on YouTube, and just going out and having a good time, and most videos that I film are 5 minutes or less in duration, so I don't really have a need to fly much longer, because this video, for example, right here, I'm at 12 minutes and 45 seconds of recording time, and I've been flying really hard and fast. So I mean, this is the battery's at 30% right now. Another thing, people were asking me about the prop guards, and they're like, do they degrade flight dynamics? And in my opinion, they don't. Sure, it adds a little bit of weight, it adds a little bit of drag. I mean, that's just science. But watch how precise this is. I'm going to bring this down and land on this case right here. You can check out my other videos where I landed on the front of a small boat and all sorts of other stuff. And you haven't seen anything yet. I mean, I've just now starting to break the surface with the Phantom 3, so I'm going to have tons of videos. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't. See, there I am right there, if you were wondering if this was doctored up or not. We'll do something really cool. We're going to go out a little bit, and we're going to come in. I'm going to show you some camera tricks. So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to concurrently gimbal down. It looks better if you keep a straight shot. My battery's just 22%. Oh, there's more videos coming up. We'll just get the taste of it. If there's anything you'd like a video of, just let me know, because I'm always out there just playing around as much as I can. And see, look how smooth that hover is. And watch this. There's wind. You can see the wind, and it's compensating for the wind. I mean, there's a strong gust of wind right now. So even with that wind, I'm going to go ahead and try to land it on the gate. And something you always want to do when you finish flying, like I'm going to stop recording because there's no point in eating up memory card space that's there. When you land like I did on the case, instead of, and you could stop your engines by doing that, but you don't want to do that. What you want to do after you land is just gently pull this down the left stick and hold it down. And the reason and again, I've got the default controller configuration. If you've reconfigured your controller, it may be different, but with the default configuration I have, just holding that down and just, letting it, taking it down slow and just holding it, and then eventually the engines will cut off. So if you did another way, there's a potential that the engines will kind of thrust and it'll cause it to tilt to the side. But if they did, that's a reason why these prop guards are so good, because if this did tilt over, if it tilted sideways, prop guard there. If it tilted forward, prop guard there. Tilted backwards, see, it's got your corners covered. So now that we've landed, there's a few things we want to do, and again, this is just the full experience here. So I've confirmed that I stopped my recording. I stopped my video recording. Something to remember if you fail to do that if you power your Phantom back on using the standard procedure, that you may be able, when the app comes up, it may be able to recover that video, because if you don't, there's a possibility that what it may do is, what's the word for it? The file may be corrupted. But if it is corrupted, don't delete it yet, because I made that mistake one time. I'd flown over a waterfall and I lost some good footage because of this with my Phantom 2 Vision Plus. Had I known that if you just power it back up, that there's a possibility that it can recover the corrupted video file. So that's just a good tip to know. So the first thing you always want to do is I'm going to want to turn the Phantom off before I turn the controller off. Even though the Phantom is already, the engines are off, there shouldn't be an issue, but just out of good practice, always turn it off first. And conversely, before you fly, always turn your controller on before you turn the Phantom on. And the reason behind that is that you wouldn't want to potentially, not that it should happen, but you don't want to potentially trigger a return home type situation. I'm just going to disconnect this cable right here. I'm going to pop out my phone. That's one of the things I like about this setup, the way I've configured all of this, is that I can get from location to the next location effortlessly. And I've got a waterproof, ruggedized, and floating case. So I just folded down my controller, got this little piece here. And I can put this in my case. Put my gimbal guard on. Now there's a way I usually do this. What I'll do is I'll flip this over and put it on the case because it's a clean area. And then to put this on, you just gently, now you don't want to grab it and damage it, but you just kind of slide this under your camera here. Again, check the link within this video's description. I've got a close-up video where I demonstrate how to attach this guard, because I know it's hard to see out here in the sunlight, but I did it in the studio. So I've got that on. Now, this ND filter did come with a lens cap, but since I normally fly in bright situations and I like the ND filter the best, I just keep it on there, and then that way I don't have to even deal with taking it on and off when I'm traveling. But it just slides on and off easily. It's these prop guards, these quick disconnect prop guards, tool free. Just slide right off here. Pop those off, and then I can put these, see how I've got them stacked like that? That's exactly how I'm going to put them in my case. And then I'll take my props off. Again, looking at the directional arrows to know which way is loose and which way is tight. And then I can put my Phantom in here, and again, check out my other video on 400orbelow.com where you see this, where you can get this case, and then also the tutorial where I showed how to assemble it. But that just slides right in there, and then I just slide my props. Obviously, I look at them visually and make sure there's not any, that there aren't any dead bugs or anything on them. If there were, I would get a moist paper towel and just clean them off. Put them back in my prop sack. It's really nice DJI included this with the Phantom 3 Professional. And then I can just slide this right here, and then my controller over here. And if I was air traveling, what I would usually do, I would put a TSA lock here and here, so TSA can get in, but people in the baggage claim area can't get in and pilfer through my stuff while I'm waiting for my bag. And then also in this case, what's nice too, you've got these thumb locks. Now they're not lock and key, but they better prevent this from popping open. See, I can't open that with that locked, but if I unlock it, that'll open. And this case does have a pressure release valve, so just a really good experience. I hope this video was of value. I wanted to show you the experience in the field from start to finish. Obviously, when I get back to the home base, to the studio, what I'll do is I'll download my video, and I'll recharge my Phantom 3 battery and my controller. Don't charge them at the same time, even though it would seem that it would work. It's supposedly not supposed to be done. So always charge your Phantom 3 battery and your Phantom 3 controller separately. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, youtube.com/IrixGuy. Share this video with others. Check out my website, 400orbelow.com. IrixGuy.com. You can find a link within this video's description. That's where I'm really working to put a lot of this tutorial content. And if there's something that you would like to see there that you don't see there, let me know and I'll be happy to try to whip something up. Again, I'm a strong drone advocate. I feel that that the evolution of drones is super important for today and tomorrow, for that matter. So, you know, stand behind it, be responsible, be recreational, and you know, let's see these drones continue to evolve, because right now, just the beginning. Y'all have a good day.